Hello, hello, welcome back to Blackjack. As you know, the next update on Age of Calamity is in less than 2 weeks. Oh, you didn't know that? Because you only watched the Anuba video? Yeah, they said in the preview itself that there's going to be an update on the 26th. Not sure why they didn't say that in the longer video. Anyway, a lot of people are abuzz over who's going to be playable. You may remember there were character reveal videos for the first Hyrule Warriors, and it was an awful lot of fun. Generated some buzz and all that. So, I thought I'd talk about who has a fair shot of getting in. Just what I think. Obviously, this game is going to have a much smaller roster than last time. There's not going to be time travel or dimension hopping shenanigans. Well, I can't guarantee that, but it won't be used to fill out the roster to the same extent as before. We know 6 playable characters already, obviously. Link, Zelda, and the 4 champions. And the trailer basically guaranteed us Impa, because if that wasn't her kneeling before the king, then paint me shocked. But even if that wasn't her, then let's be honest with ourselves, she's still a lock. We're not even going to talk about her other than she's awesome. You saw my reaction just when she got in Cadence of Hyrule. She's one of my Smash Ultimate wants. Let's move on. Since this cast will likely consist of few original characters, there's no way to predict the full roster. Last time it gave us great new characters like Volga and Volga. And okay, it gave us characters of varying quality like Wizrow and the sisters. Freaking Wizrow. But I'm going to try to think of some characters from Breath of the Wild that may show up here. Shall we begin? I also feel like I should say I don't have my Creating a Champion book with me, so some of the info may be a tiny bit off, but hey. I've done my best to fill it in with the internet. Yay. Almost all the pictures here. I was going from Zelda.com, so thanks to them. Anyway, there's a lot of buzz around Purah and Robbie, and I think this is well merited. I mean, if we go by lore, Robbie is one of the people who approached Zelda after her powers awoke, and she ordered them to take Link to the Shrine of Resurrection, so he would have been in the field already, almost certainly fighting. I mean, granted, neither of the men we saw looked anything like Robbie, so apparently he was there, though, so I guess they just didn't want to design someone all new and stuff. So is it just me, or do you guys imagine Robbie to be that small back then, too? I mean, Impa's small because she's old. Purah's small because she turned herself young, but Robbie, I imagine, just being that small in general. Some people are, you know? Purah may be a little less likely. I give her 50%. No, I'm not going to rate everyone, but I just think she has about half and half chance just because her perspective moveset with the slate seems to have been taken by Zelda. But, hey, maybe she had a different weapon or whatever, had her own runes or her own slate. Not like the first game didn't have a bunch of people with swords and pikes and whatever. Another Sheikah that would fit the time period, well, in the name of the goddess Hylia, I offer you this final trial. Frickin' Maz Koshia is entirely possible. And being younger and thus not at the height of his power would be an interesting and feasible way to make him not OP. I could see him wearing that face covering the whole time just to make him more mysterious. Given that they're Guardians of Time, do I think that Lana and Sia can show up? Maybe. I'm imagining some sort of time patroller role where they have to make sure things happen how they're supposed to. And this opens the door to the heartbreaking scenario of, holy crap, is this champion actually going to win? But they can't win. They have to die here, even if we have to make it happen ourselves. True neutrality is a pain and a half. Though, if they did go down this route, I'm thinking it may explain Urbosa's almost relaxed attitude and nobody needs share blame line, or whatever she said exactly. If someone had explained it to her, then who knows? But would they do this? Probably not. Could the sister still exist in this game? Sure, probably. A character I haven't seen anyone mention yet, and I've gone through some lists of characters people have suggested. is someone we know was the teacher of one of the champions, so it's likely he's got some skills in the same vein. Mipha's teacher and defender Mizu, the stingray/manta ray guy who's super racist towards aliens, is a distinct, though admittedly distant possibility. We know he was her teacher, so could he have taught her the way of the trident? It's entirely reasonable to think he may have. Would this make him playable? Who knows? Back to characters who I have seen mentioned. King Rome is an interesting choice that I could easily see happening. And I was pondering, you know how there's the wolf link via an amiibo? You know how the compendium entry for the Hylian Terrier says that they're thought to be descended from the king's dog? I can only assume the assumption was the specific king. So how about use the dog in battle, similar to Wolf Link? That's a mix-up where the human dies and the dog lives. Still bitterly heartbreaking, but not in the way we usually see. He'd probably also have a weapon of some kind, you know, but still. So to cheer us up, how about Hestu? Nobody could be sad with Hestu around, right? Hestu's only rarely seen by anyone who isn't a Korok themselves, so that kind of throws a little wrench in the works. But I know what you're thinking. Isn't Hestu a child? If he's a Korok, think about how much bigger he is than them. How he's got a beard and thick eyebrows like an elderly man. We have no idea how Koroks age, especially given they're descended from the Kokiri, who basically didn't age. So having very long lives is easy to imagine, as is him looking similar a century ago. And speaking of the Kokiri, something that was floated for Breath of the Wild that didn't come to pass was the potential for Kokiri to be among the champions. See him right there. So you can see this rough character was thought up as using a whip. Considering no other Kokiri appear in the game, this is the biggest strike against them, but you know, weirder things have happened. Speaking of characters cut from the game, remember how creating a champion mentioned that Link had a younger sister? The picture got left out of the English edition for some reason. Isn't she cute? She must be very brave holding a chicken like that. We all know how chickens are in the Zelda series. They're the most vile incarnations of evil. Ganon trembles before them. You know, I feel like I've seen someone similar to her before. By Hylia, would you look at that? Yeah, so what a fantastic way to make Linkle canon! Granted, this would probably mean that we'd also have to see Linkle die. But, and again, I kept looking this up to see if his sister's death was confirmed and couldn't find it. So it's entirely possible that she escaped and lived to a ripe old age on her own. Granted, she'd be dead by now. I mean, she could be like 114, but it's just possible the oldest human was 122, and people live older than that in this game, but not by much. It's very unlikely, so let's just know right now. You know, surviving the calamity and having her own life would be heartwarming enough. Even if, like, the siblings never see each other again, if Link could have a niece or nephew who's multiple times his age, wouldn't that be sweet in a Flight of the Navigator sort of way? Good movie, go watch it. We're done with the pictures. I've also heard mention of King Dorephan and his exploits against a Guardian. Now this sounds great on paper, and I'd love to see him playable. It would be awesome. I would be so for it, except the man is enormous. Unless they tell us that he was a lot smaller back in the day, but he is literally a blue whale. There's only so small they get. They're born the size of a small bus. Incidentally, who among the design staff decided his children should be a dolphin and a shark? I mean, Sidon, are you adopted? What was their mother? It didn't say. Now, a character often spoken about in Breath of the Wild, but never seen, who came to fame around... I get the implication that it was shortly after the Calamity, is Misko the Bandit. I tried to find information about Misko, but I couldn't even find if they're a man or a woman. I'm guessing woman based on the ko ending to the name, but then I saw that their Japanese name is Ramada or Ramda, and that could be anything. It's lambda in another language, so that's wild. I kind of took it for granted that Misko was a woman until I heard people playing the game saying him. I went back and looked and didn't find anything either way, but I imagine Misko to be a small, lanky woman with an eye patch who could drink anyone under the table, and that kind of sounds a little bit piratey, don't you think? So I'm thinking maybe give her something like Tetra's moveset. I don't know. Who knows? I mean, she would obviously fight with something stolen. They would fight with something stolen. Who knows? I also, right before recording this video, had the idea that Misko might have been one of Zelda's ladies-in-waiting that we see in some cutscenes, because for some reason Impa is never there. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, yeah. Bandit Monarch Misko to be playable. Now, something really fun from Hyrule Warriors is the ability to play as villains. And since they kind of can't do that here, since we know that Ganondorf as a separate being is imprisoned under the castle with that hand thingy on him, and probably has been for 9,900 years, they'll have to pull from some other things. I haven't played as many Warriors games as I'd like, but Warriors Orochi 3 had a great thing where various enemy monsters would basically say, screw this, I'm out, and join the heroes. I say drop that last part and just make some monsters playable. After all, what could come close to the Ganon's Fury mode from the first game of playing as a Lionel? Even beyond that, though, there's talk of Lizalfos General, so they have stuff like societal structures and communication. These aren't random beasties. These are thinking creatures, so why not give one or two a personality and put them in our hands? I'd be down for a few kinds of monsters like this, though. If there's one thing Breath of the Wild seriously dropped the ball on, it was monster variety. Recolors above actual variety, really. But if you can't/won't fix it, you may as well play with it. And we need to have entirely new characters too. But how do you make brand new ones for a game like this? What do you base them on? Well, the map has an awful lot of places that seem to be named after people, who were Safia and Medelia, of Safia's Table and Medelia's Mantle fame, both locations found in the Gerudo Highlands. Who was Ludfo, and why did they get a bog named after them? Who was Okul, and what was so great about their navel? Was Bonnaroo's stand where Bonnaroo made their last stand? And so on. That's just the stuff that's got possessives in their names. Let's change the topic, though, to characters we won't see, shall we? Now, we'll almost certainly see Sidon. But Whittle Baby Sidon is not gonna be playable. Remember how weak he was? He didn't even climb up the waterfall, and Mipha doing so for him was presented as something she wasn't planning on doing for much longer. So he's a no, and the other modern champions are a no, unless they have a modern event. I can totally see oh no, when Link went into the castle, a whole bunch of monsters started attacking. Modern champions, it's time to live up to our forebearers. And that would be amazing and wonderful and all that, but it would require a time shift to a full century after the rest of the game. So maybe it depends. That sounds more like a DLC mission, if anything else. And then, like, you could play as them in free mode. I also saw someone suggest Cass, but, guys, I mean, I know my parrots. I know macaws live a long time, and some of them have lived over a century, but give me a break. Okay? Anyway, I don't really have much in the way of a conclusion, so I just hope you've enjoyed my list. And I want to hear what you think down at the bottom. Blackjack is playable? Who knows?